to the Mavericast. My name is Sam, here with Yorgey.
Hey.
Arnaud.
Hi.
And Pizza Party Andy.
Yo.
So I believe there was a pretty important event last night. Monday Night Football was on Monday. I guess it was the election last night. So if you guys want to just dive right into that, our new president is... Wait, who is it?
Donald J. Trump.
Okay.
The big fascist himself.
Right, the fascist himself. And we have a Republican House and a Republican Senate. It's just like the big Nazi takeover, obviously.
Yeah, so unfortunately things might get done.
Right, and unfortunately, we might actually have like a semi-constitutional government now. Okay, so let's just jump right into this map. So, in terms of popular vote, Clinton is winning right now, according to the New York Times.
Like what, over 200,000?
Just about 200,000. My map's not loading, so I can't see it.
I think most of the vote left outstanding, though, is in Washington.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's been heavily Democratic so far. It could narrow, but I don't think it's possible for Trump to narrow that gap.
Yeah, I mean, he's losing by 400,000 in Washington. So.
It is unfortunate, though, that after probably the most divisive election in history, you get this split.
But wait, most Americans want Hillary. How is this even fair?
She shouldn't accept the results.
But I think it's only fitting, unfortunately, that this would happen this year. You know, and it's a perfect way to cap it off. But it's certainly not helping to heal any wounds.
Yeah. But sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say one area I really want to dive into straight away is Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the state where we live in. It's the state where we all go to school. And I want to say, especially right here in Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, Hillary Clinton only got 56.4% of the vote. And for a Democrat in this county, that's about as bad as a result.
I don't know. I don't know if the Allegheny County was that bad. I think the past two cycles it's trended a bit towards the Republicans, especially the counties west because of coal. But in Philadelphia, she underperformed the margins by, I think it was over 50,000 votes.
And I know, turnout is extremely down as well.
Yeah.
Just and if anybody is talking about how the third party hurt Hillary, Gary Johnson won 2.4% of the vote in Pennsylvania. So that actually hurt Trump. So everybody complaining about like the impact of Joe Stein. If anything, Gary Johnson hurt Donald Trump.
Oh, really? Everything. See, this goes to show how wrong the polls are. Even the polls showed that Gary Johnson seemed to have taken more from Hillary.
Really?
Yeah, slightly. I don't know how it would have split. I don't think he would have made the difference in any state if he was gone.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember the Libertarian Party is bigger than it used to be.
Right.
They've been trending up from 0.1 to slightly over 1 for several years now.
The unfortunate thing is that they nominated like literally the worst person that they could have possibly nominated this year.
I think it's on. I was kind of hoping Gary Johnson would get to 5%. Because I was really curious to see what the Libertarians would do
what he end up
with the option of taking federal funds in the campaign.
What he end up with totally on?
I've seen it hover about 4%. I don't know if that's
I think it's less than that. I think it's about 2.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
But back to Pennsylvania, I think another big thing is Erie, Donald Trump, which is Lackawanna County. He only lost by 2012 and 2008.
And then I think Center County is worth noting as well. I think Hillary's margin of victory should have been greater considering the college student population. Yeah. She only won it by about 2 percentage points.
That's crazy. Just this whole... I mean, first of all, if you just look at by county, I'll be posting pictures on the video version of this on YouTube, but if you just look at the amount of red on the county-by-county version on the New York Times website, it's just red. I mean, like, literally, this in most of this country is red. Well, at least geographically speaking.
I think that brings up a good point, which is that we have, I think, the biggest rural-urban divide that we've had in modern memory.
I completely agree.
Trump ran up enormous numbers in rural areas, much better than Romney. But in many states, I know in Florida this was true, especially in North Carolina, she actually outperformed Obama in urban communities. In the end, the rural turnout was enough to give Trump the advantage in almost all of these states. But there's something to be said about the divisions we're starting to see.
Because I know as we were waiting for Florida to come in, the one thing I kept thinking is just wait for the Panhandle, because it would be the best area for us to overturn, whether it's Tampa or Miami.
And if you look at that Florida map, I mean, she pretty much only wins the big population centers.
Even Jacksonville went for a Republican.
For Trump. Yeah, that's crazy. And you look
it went for Trump?
Yeah, it went for Trump. Well, at least the county did. I mean, you just
I think that's a change from last night, actually.
I mean, you just look at all these areas, and I mean, Trump, just in terms of other parts like New Jersey, Trump won where Republicans usually win. Hillary won all the parts where Democrats won. So there's some things that didn't change. But then you look at, gotta talk about Michigan. Just wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I don't think... I mean, he tried, and there was a little bit of speculation among, hopeful Republicans, because Hillary was spending a lot of time there.
Right.
But I think most people, and myself included, assumed she was just doing a sort of prevent defense, understanding that if she could hold Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Virginia, she was in pretty good shape.
And I was thinking about this, I know I mentioned this probably in the last episode, but, I remember briefly mentioning how Trump's the only Republican who's really gone into these urban communities and said, what have the Democrats done for you? And while he didn't win Detroit, and while he didn't win a lot of these big cultural centers, I think that message is actually really resonating with some people. And I think, did he outperform?
A little bit, but it was in the single digits, though.
Right, but I mean, but even that literal improvement were and I think just his personality combined with that message as opposed to Romney or McCain, I think that was the big difference.
I think it's almost worth noting that he didn't underperform Romney, because this is such a heavily racialized election. They, especially at the end, they practically painted Trump as a Klansman.
Absolutely.
Which I think was
classic.
Obviously, pretty heinous, but in that kind of setting, I think it is at least encouraging. It had some movement in the black vote. But it's going to take much more than one candidate in one cycle to start having a significant impact. If conservatives and Republicans want to start moving back into these communities, it's going to take several years. It's going to take some money. It's going to take people on the ground actually talking to people on a person-to-person basis going through these issues.
Do you think he widened the map?
That's exactly what I actually wanted to talk about. I think we always hear the buzzword change election, and I think it's exactly what we saw. I think in the spring, I remember reading and hearing from certain very pro-Trump circles that states exactly like Michigan, Wisconsin, or Minnesota, they could be put in play, but I kind of disregarded it as sort of fool's gold, that, we would talk about it, he would do some appearances, but it really wouldn't turn out. And especially when the DNC and Hillary didn't make a single stop in Wisconsin, I think that's speaking volumes. And when we're seeing states, especially Virginia, we talked about extensively last time, that it's almost a reliable Democratic state every single time.
Yeah, it's a
he
good
was
point.
close though.
Well, but
not as
early on.
Not exactly.
I mean, he was doing better early.
I was talking to some people early in the night who were getting excited about Virginia when things looked very bleak, especially with the exit polls. And I said, just wait, because in Virginia you have the northeastern part of the population.
Very heavily yeah.
It always comes in last every time. So Virginia, it tricks you. But I think what's interesting is Trump has moved Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania into the undecided column for future elections by bringing in these blue collar whites. But at the same time, you look at Virginia. Virginia is gone for the foreseeable future. New Mexico, Colorado, Nevada. I think you're right. These are all gone. And Arizona is trending to the left too. Maybe one more cycle, and that could be definitely a toss-up.
And then on the flip side, I think Ohio and Iowa are both worth mentioning, particularly because of the blue-collar working-class white vote. His victory margin in Ohio is about 9 percentage points, and that's
I don't think anyone thought it would be that much.
And then Iowa is about the same.
Same as Texas. Texas is surprisingly close, though. Yeah.
Well, it's because the demographic change that's been going on.
Yeah. Well, there were those polls several weeks ago when Trump really bottomed out after the tape that had Texas almost a toss-up.
Yeah.
Well, they assume Texas won't go blue for like a couple decades.
Yeah.
Several
But I think-
hundreds of years.
Yeah, it's definitely worth
2040.
mentioning that the Democrats I think they're actually doing a great job of putting in the movement, putting in, for it to be this close, I think we're seeing more high-profile Democrats from Texas, someone like Julian and Joaquin Castro, sort of just building a brand up in a very heavy red state.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, Bush started that back in the 90s when he was governor. Bush always made a big focus for Hispanics and focusing on West Texas especially, and just really building up Hispanic margins. And it was essentially a dry run for his presidential campaigns when he got huge numbers of Hispanic votes. My concern, though, is that now that we have... Nate Silver made this point yesterday that blue-collar whites are now voting like a minority group. They're voting really cohesively. They're voting together. So now we have this issue where we might just become complacent with that, and then you now have even clearer racial divides. And many strategists will see no reason to expand to minority groups. I think for both parties that might be an issue looking forward.
I think that the GOP, though, I mean, especially, like I said, with Trump, they have made, I mean, in terms of just to African Americans, he did make strides to try to speak to them, to speak to the community. I think he was hurt by Obama and just the constant demagoguing of Obama in front of black crowds, and I think, could you call him out on rhetoric? Just like in terms of his speech, could Trump look that you should vote for him? Like, is that anything that do people do that?
Sure. No, I mean it's no secret that
'Cause that's
Democrats make race an issue in every election. They're making us into, especially politically, into a hyper racialized society.
Well, it's like a racial democracy they're trying to get to.
It's and it's troubling.
Yeah.
But what forces out there countering that? I don't know. I will say I certainly applaud Trump for making an effort with black votes.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that there's a serious problem in these communities and saying we need to address this. It's just important first step. But what he didn't talk about, aside from school choice, which was important, was many meaningful solutions.
Well, he did. Well, he spoke about crime, and that's where obviously the controversial stop and frisk stuff comes in place. And I know that obviously that a lot of people are against that because I guess the memory of the New York stop and frisk. But
I mean, it's effective, but I think it just, if we're talking about it, if we're making that a key part of any urban reform platform, then that's just going to sow more division.
Right.
I think you have to start small. School choice is a good first step with that.
But because I mean, I've heard the steps are make it safe, make the community safe so that people can invest, so you can actually get the resources there. Because you can't have bullets flying through stores and flying through windows in schools.
Yeah, but we also have to understand why poverty is a problem in these communities. So you have to address the generational poverty as well, which is particularly cemented in these poor urban communities. I think that's the most important thing we can do.
Do you think that there's going to be
long term?
Do you think Trump, based on this appeal that he's made to black voters and in these urban areas and just urban voters in general, that I feel like Republicans haven't even tried to do? Do you think that could bring more Republican governors to these places to help bring change at the local level? Because I mean, like, I know that we've spoken about it a few times. I think last time about last time Chicago had a Republican, last time Baltimore. Like, do you think you could actually see people saying maybe these people aren't the right choice?
Well, now that Trump's in office, I guess it's really how hard does he drill his stances and issues into the people. Like, if this is really such a priority. I mean, he said during his victory speech that now's the time to heal America, so maybe he could possibly tell people that.
In an ideal world, I think we could possibly see more Republican leadership in these states and these cities, but what's troubling to me is just the nature of machine politics, and I think Chicago has established that in the state of Illinois, that it's almost this next man up philosophy, next person up philosophy, to where it's whether it's Rahm Emanuel, he was the next person up to be mayor, or I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. Rod Baladonovich, the former
right,
governor.
That went to
he tried to
Blagojevich.
sell Blagojevich, correct. He tried to sell Obama's Senate seat after it happened, and I think when you have machine politics, it's very hard to get a change.
But Trump broke the machine, though.
I would be very curious.
Do you think?
No, I mean we're
No,
talking
not
about
at all.
Chicago.
No,
we're talking
on a
about
national level. On a national
no,
level.
I mean I'm
Do you
talking
think-
about inner cities,
Right.
democratic states that have been democratic for almost a century.
Yeah, I
But
think
It's a
I think
very
Andrew,
difficult thing to
But
do.
do you think?
Mark Kirk got slaughtered yesterday,
He
and he's a
did.
sitting senator.
Well, I mean, that's also because he just ran a terrible campaign against Duckworth, who he offended publicly. Which I don't. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, a war veteran without legs, and you
And
know,
he
a
offends
war
her.
hero. You know, I think that was he was probably doomed to failure
Yeah.
in that race.
But do you think, in terms of the machine politics, I mean, obviously at the local level, it's going to be hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
But I think
yeah.
it
But
has to
at the
start at the
national
local level.
So you don't think that this is any cog in the machine?
I think if you want to change this, I think it has to start at the local level. Yes, a candidate can go out there and talk about these issues, but the Democrats have the strongest political force on the local level when you're talking about, especially unions, established political groups.
I'm more so talking about the fact that you've seen it now. You've seen someone beat the Clinton machine again. It's 2 times now because Obama beat it and now Clinton beat it. I mean Trump. Do you think people are going to take a hint and maybe say, is there a way to? Obviously, it's hard. It's going to take some time. But on the national level, could this start something that's going to be like, hey, maybe we can fight this machine. And this anti-establishment feel, I think, is really resonating with voters all around the world.
And I think
around the world.
And I think one important thing to talk about on that point is money. I mean, how much did Clinton outspend Trump? I mean, I can't tell you just the disparity between the number of
outspent him too.
Exactly, the disparity between the number of Clinton ads here in Pennsylvania, a state that was key to Trump's strategy, and Trump ads. And it was night and day. I saw so few Trump ads, and Clinton just blanked at the airwaves.
And that expands even more into how many offices do they have, how many, and it's the dichotomy to where weeks ago, that's all we heard, was that Trump didn't have an existing ground game. And Corey Lewandowski touched on this last night, that at the end, it didn't really matter.
But I think, you know what, people did come, I was talking to a staffer yesterday, people did come out to volunteer. You actually had great volunteer turnout. And in the end, you could because Romney's Get Out the Vote operation was a complete and total failure in 2012. You could say that ours this year was better than it was in 2012. No doubt.
In terms of just spending, as of mid-October, Trump had spent $238.9 million. Clinton had spent $450.6 million.
That's incredible, and that's not counting outside groups.
Right.
I think if you I think the outside groups, the super PACs as well, also raised more than the right-leaning super PACs. The disparity is incredible.
I don't have a super PAC. I don't have any special interests. You, the people, are my only special interest. Believe me. Just it is. I'm still.
We get 4 more years of that. Isn't that great?
I'm just still shocked. I mean, like, really, I was going into that night, and I know that you're a negative Nancy, so you did. I remember the last time we were here, you depressed us completely, and you were like, yeah, Clinton's going to win by 538 votes. And then here we go with the Trump win. The map was getting close. I mean, we spoke about it last week with North Carolina was getting close, New Hampshire. We didn't even think he was going to win PA. We thought if I remember correctly, we thought it was New Hampshire, Florida, North Carolina, Nevada that were the election.
You know what? Clearly I was very wrong, and it was certainly not the first time in this election.
You're the resident Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. We talked about this.
Oh boy.
Moving on.
The first time we said it, Michael Yorgey.
Won't be the last.
Woo!
But we talked about this last week, and you know, we live in a bubble here.
The bubble.
where we're totally disconnected from the outside world. And what ended up happening was the secret Trump voters were a real phenomenon. I would have never thought that the hidden Trump voters were a legitimate thing. I thought
Monster vote was not a meme.
I thought I've heard in politics in a long time, but because I was thinking back to 2012 when we were talking about the polls are wrong, and we were talking about we need to adjust these margins, and in the end we were completely wrong. The polls were correct. So I mean I came into this with a certain degree of what I think was healthy pessimism.
I would even say skepticism towards that idea of the hidden Trump voter, the Senate majority.
Yeah.
I know that there's a quote from Paul Ryan today. I'm going to
we'll say the silent electoral majority.
Yeah. There's this quote that Paul Ryan said. It's not verbatim, but I think he said something like, Donald Trump turned politics on its head. And Andrew, I know you've been saying this is our Brexit.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a narrative that I've been pushing for a while because the similarities are just, as the political science students, the similarities are just far too notable to forget. At the day of Brexit, some polls had them down as high as 10%, but it was the people who were afraid to say that they were supporting it. Maybe not afraid, but they were new to politics. They weren't contacted. Maybe they'd never voted before. Maybe they'd never voted in 10 years, but there was something about the cause of Brexit that got them out, that got them re-engaged in the system, and I think Donald Trump has engaged in exactly the same thing.
So clearly something went wrong with these polls at every level, both the early polls and also the exit polls. I think by 8:30 it became clear that they botched the exit polls almost as badly as they did in 2004. It was pretty bad, and that's why the coverage early on was so pessimistic for Trump.
Those exit polls were really ambiguous, though. It didn't make sense of who it belonged to each candidate specifically.
Right, but the question I think is why weren't these Trump supporters why were they either ignoring pollsters or refusing or too scared to talk to them? Why do we think that was happening?
I guess it was just they just didn't want to get painted as X, Y, and Z buzzword. Right. So they were just you know what, I'm just gonna keep quiet till election day.
As soon as I put it on Facebook, I think he won. It all started coming in. I started getting all the hate. I mean, just people were calling me a racist, a sexist, a bigot, a homophobe. I mean, they were throwing out all the things to me. I mean, literally, last night, I stopped in the lounge on my floor very briefly, and I left probably after 2 minutes just because everybody was hurling the buzzwords, hurling the insults, and I think that's part of the reason why for so long I was sort of like the secret Trump on campus. That I don't want to publicly display Trump memorabilia. I removed it actually from my backpack today after the protest last night. We should talk about that actually. Before I talk about the protest, I just want to expand. In one of my posts I wrote, GOP has the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Babies will be safe from the slaughter. People will be defended from terrorism, and the peace will finally be respected by their president. And this person writes, "Do not be so ignorant to call abortion slaughter." And I go, well, abortion is slaughter, so... And then she goes, "You have literally no idea what you're talking about." And I go, "That must be it." I have no idea. And then this one girl just writes, "Go F yourself." So, but obviously academic arguments.
That's a very well thought out argument.
And literally, this the same person I know just wrote, "Go F yourself, go F yourself, go F yourself." That's not an argument. You are literally embarrassing yourself. I would have not done that.
I had no problem with this. Even in the stock markets, it was really flat today, and I actually made money.
Oh, really?
Didn't the Dow go up 200 points?
Did it? I thought it went down.
It was earlier. The Dow futures last night were down something like 800 points at one point. So I don't know what happened there.
It was just a rebound. I mean, it was just initial shock, and then everyone was like, "Oh wait." It's not as. It was going to bounce back as fast or faster than Brexit because nothing's really going to change as immediately as we assume Brexit might.
And I think I think investors really don't have much reason to worry. I mean, the situation isn't really that unstable. It's just a slight majority for the Democrats in the for the Republicans in the Senate, Trump really isn't, if you can put him on the political spectrum, he's closer to the center.
Right.
So, I mean, there's really not much reason for investors to panic,
Right.
Yeah, and I think his victory speech was sort of the turning point to where we saw the market stabilize, because
I think that's a good point.
we saw an almost a very different kind of man when he came out for his victory speech. One who wants to heal the wounds of the country right now.
And talking about victory concession speeches, I can't help but think that these candidates would have done infinitely better had they talked in the campaign like they did in the concession speech. Trump being steady.
He's tired.
Yeah, maybe he was just
Low
sleepy.
energy.
Poor Barron.
Yeah, but
The game master himself was there.
Those pictures of Barron last night where he's like swaying there on the stage.
When I was 10 years old, I don't even think I knew what 3 a.m. was.
yeah, no way.
Yeah.
But
Now I stay up till that every night.
yeah, Trump being steady, cool, nice to people,
Right.
Acknowledging others.
I think he seemed very humble.
Humble is the right word. There you go. And Hillary showing emotion. And this isn't,
They changed their
people
programming.
talk about, chauvinism when you talk about, when you start critiquing the way Hillary delivers things. But, the fact is, all politicians, men or women, should show some degree of emotion, because you're supposed to care about these things. It's well known that voters want a politician who cares. And if you're not demonstrating that you care, well, then why should they vote for you? And she just didn't do that enough. I think had she talked like that, the way she did in her concession, I don't know. I think she would have done much better. She would have showed she was a real person.
And she's so often criticized for being cold and calculated, and so it was definitely a change of pace to see that.
Yeah.
I just want to introduce two other people who work for the Maverick. This is Kyle, who does all the editing.
Hi.
Speak louder.
Hi.
And Kirk, he's a puppy.
Hello there.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
That
he
was
is.
pretty cool.
His leg is famous, everyone. His leg is, and his thumb. Okay.
Do you want to fill them in on what that means?
Yeah, so in our first big news scoop, where the Trump table was viciously attacked, Kirk, once it's attacked, goes, "That was pretty cool," as his reaction to the anarchists attacking us. So tolerance on the Pitt campus is high key right now, and I guess that we should switch over to the next topic, which is there were awesome riots on our campus last night, huh?
Well, it was loud. I don't know if it was really that awesome.
I was joking. With someone with a Donald Trump poster in his window, I could tell you I was not not comfortable with that.
Mine came down pretty much the second they were within 50 feet of my window.
It's such a shame though that we can't even have a thing in our window without that fear.
Without the worry, yeah. And like I said earlier, I removed the pins from my backpack, any stickers that I may have had, yeah.
I wore a Rand shirt today though because
he got back his
he's
Senate
in.
seat.
we did it.
6 more years of Rand.
We are going to audit the Fed.
Oh,
And
we're
he
gonna
wants
go
to.
out with
Oh,
the
he
Fed.
better be. He's got the president now.
Yo.
We should probably talk about the Senate now. Actually.
Yeah, let's move on to that senatorial
And
thing.
little Marco.
Oh, he's back.
Little Marco.
Hopefully he does something in the Senate this time.
Look at me, I'm Marco Rubio.
He won't be spending half his term in Iowa.
Oh wait, Jill Stein had a running mate?
Yeah, it was
Since when?
since
Yeah,
months
since
ago.
the
What?
summer. Yeah, he's quite a character.
It was
Uh,
announced around the DNC, I think.
Okay.
He
So obviously
he is
big news there.
Quite a backstory.
How about Jill Stein really racking up those votes there? Do we know what Ken Bone got? Do you know what the
No.
Ken Bone vote
Did
count
Harambe
is?
get 15,000?
I think Harambe got
Yeah,
15,000.
Harambe.
Well, no, that was just a rumor. The thing is,
Sad.
there were, I think early counts have it at, let me see here. Hold on. It's not loading. I think it was about 500 write-in votes. I'm on the wrong screen. Okay, never mind. Yeah, it was about 500,000 write-in votes. The thing is, they don't usually count those specifically, unless someone announces ahead of time that you're writing a write-in campaign. So, unfortunately, we may never know how many
Never
votes
know.
Harambe got. You know.
Oh yeah, on the topic of Harambe, My
I
door
thought
was
we were talking about the Senate.
I'm sorry, I just want to mention my door was vandalized last night. I have a picture of Harambe and a Bantu the gorilla. Kyle is really happy about this conversation, and yeah, my door was vandalized. They took down my Harambe picture. Like, how dare you diss the Lord and Savior?
What's that to do with it? I mean, what did Harambe do that was racist? What did Bantu do?
Apparently, Harambe's racist.
Yeah.
You hear about that college that banned Harambe jokes?
Whoa.
I think it was something because it's an African name. I think they were upset about that.
And they said it was racist.
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
By the way, guys,
they were trivializing it or something.
on the topic of the Senate, John McCain, who was supposed to die 8 years ago, just won re-election. So
Whoa. For what, the fourth time?
yeah. So
This is why we need term limits.
He's going on 80, isn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember when it was the big deal how John McCain's gonna like die, and then it was like. And then, like, it's
Hillary lived.
And then it's sexist to ask if
Even-
Hillary's
yeah.
alive.
And then at our fantastic media event 2 weeks
my
ago,
God.
Okay.
we were told that it's wrong. It was okay to question McCain's age, but it wasn't okay to question Clinton's age.
He's a man of privilege, and he suffered in war.
He is 80 years old now.
You know, it's like
So
my.
he will
that's like-
be 86 when it's Senate.
That's like my Greek grandmother running for Senate. She can barely walk. Like she'd be like, I don't know what is going on.
Oh, jeez.
I'm going to send Bill.
Anyway, so we lost 2 Senate seats last night.
Where did we?
Kelly Ayotte recently conceded.
Hmm.
She lost by 700 votes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
That is. Woo! Woo, that is. There were a lot of those last night.
Oh my goodness.
And then we already spoke about Mark Kirk a little bit.
Yeah, he's done for the rest of his life in politics.
We're technically at 51. That's because Louisiana will have to have that runoff.
Oh yeah.
So
They'll
yeah, I
win,
think like 7 candidates or something.
Yeah, and then if nobody gets 50.
But yeah, that should be a given.
Did you guys hear the big hullabaloo they were making about David Duke and how he said he won for and how Trump won for our people, referring to white people? It's like David Duke
they're
does
really
not represent all Trump supporters. Like
That's true.
They're trying to make like, they're really working hard to make us look like racists now.
Well, he's only like pulling it like 5%.
I think he ended
or
up.
less?
I can check right now.
Yeah.
I know they had like a debate. That
Duke got 3%.
Whoa, geez.
Exactly.
58,000.
Oh, he crashed. I thought he got picked in it because he pulled in.
No.
No, I mean like he technically met the threshold, so they had to invite him, and then he just
was racist.
had like just really objectionable behavior the whole time. Like when the reporter called him on some sort of like tax fraud he committed in the early 2000s, he talked about like evil corporate media or it was some veiled Jewish thing.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Why?
So,
I mean,
I think it's encouraging that he got only 3%. Yeah.
it's still 58,000 people who voted for him.
Well, let's give Louisiana some credit. They had Bobby Jindal for several years.
Is Bobby Jindal still the governor?
No.
What? He's not.
No, and he's actually.
Did he step down?
No, he got term limited out.
What? When did this happen?
Is
he out of office
this year?
now?
I think
Yeah,
it
this
was.
year.
Yeah.
What? Yo, my mind was just blown.
But,
I thought Bobby
the
was-
Democrats have the state house now because he kind of made a mess of things towards the end.
Oh yeah, he's not the governor because I remember the Alton Sterling shooting.
Mhm.
Never mind. Yeah.
But one Senate race I really want to touch on is Ron Johnson. Actually,
Wow.
I was shocked. I think 538 gave him about an 18% chance
Yeah, well,
to
we
win
know
back his
that
seat.
538 is just wrong.
I don't think it's that unreasonable though.
In fairness,
to look at,
I
yeah.
don't read 538 either, but in fairness to them, I think they had it closer than anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, just given their track record, I do think they have the credibility to comment on races.
Yeah.
I don't think it's out of the ordinary to trust them. And Ron Johnson had a somewhat decisive victory considering the state of other Senate elections.
The same thing in Indiana.
Yeah.
Todd
Yeah.
Young, we know he pulled. It looked as though he might have pulled forward at the last second. But he won by 10
and
points.
Evan Bayh is such an established name.
Exactly.
He's been in politics forever.
Well, the Bayh family is
Wow.
a political institution in Indiana.
Do you think Pence helped at all, being on the top of the ticket?
Oh, yeah, I think
Probably, but Evan Bayh is a terrible candidate. He's extremely lazy. It's not really clear why he's in politics, and he spends almost no time in Indiana. And he's lied about his time in Indiana.
Wasn't
the way I understood, he's been working just in the D.C. area for the past number of years and wasn't even in Indiana.
Yeah,
he has no connection.
No, he was.
But he was a senator before.
He got voted out in 2010.
Oh, who was the incumbent then? Because there's no incumbent in this race.
I don't know. Someone retiring.
I have no idea.
Yo, we almost won Harry Reid's seat, by the way.
And then Missouri was another Senate race where it became more optimistic as the days went on. Like, I know Jason Kander, the Democratic candidate, was favored to win for a very long time.
Well, Rory Blunt was not a good candidate. I listened to some of those ads in that race, and they were hammering him pretty relentlessly. Yeah. Did we win that governor's seat there too? Because that was in Missouri. Because that was also very nasty.
Very close. Yeah.
And North Carolina's not called yet. How about
for the governor's race?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, they're waiting on results. How about the Nevada race? I mean, if you look at the Nevada map,
it looks like
she only won Clark County.
The Missouri governor race, Eric Greitens won 51% of the popular vote, so he did win. So the GOP now controls most of the governorships, or is it like 60% of the governorships?
I think we have 33.
That's crazy.
We have 33 out of 15. Yeah.
And the House, the Senate, the presidency, and now we're going to be able to put a real, conservative Supreme Court justice on.
We'll see who we nominate. But someone said this last night, I think it was on Fox, that the Republicans are looking really smart right now for saying no to, what's his name in the Supreme Court?
Merrick Garland.
Garland, yeah. But one last point in the Senate, Colorado, give some credit to Darrell Glenn. He got it within 3 points in the end. He was down by close to 15 points just 2 months ago. So, it's the same story as Virginia 2 years ago, where Ed Gillespie was down by double digits, even close to the election. You could see it closing, and then it was nearly tied at the end. I wish the Republican Party would invest a little bit, especially when you're so flush with cash as you are in these races, and you have sometimes more than you know what to do with it. They'd invest some instead of throwing away $100 million in New Hampshire. Invest some in some of these less likely races where you really stand to make up huge gaps and maybe pull something out.
Also, guys, big news on Facebook. Put another thing calling Trump racist. I feel like I should update everyone. You see a red trucker hat with an unviable promise. I see the white hood of a Klansman.
Whoa,
yeah,
that's deep.
I know. Lots of big shots being fired right now from the left. So we might have to hide behind the sandbags and get our AR-15.
We better barricade the door of the library.
Yeah,
sure they can't.
I can't stand that we're all talking about the Klan. You know,
right.
I mean, the Southern Poverty Law Center calculates the number of people in the Klan that it's like 5,000 people. It couldn't possibly be less relevant in America today. I mean, it's just such nonsense.
I mean, Trump only won by 5,000 in Pennsylvania.
Oh, no coincidence.
I'm joking. Voter fraud. Too many dead people were voting in Pennsylvania. That's why he won. Oh, wait. Oops.
Oh.
Sorry.
Did he rig the rig system?
Just
spin zone.
I have to say though, his victory speech was pretty darn good.
I was impressed. Yeah.
Also, California. Some people from California want to collect it, so obviously they're not sore losers.
Hey, they would be fools to do that. California is drowning in debt. if they did that, there would be no one to bail them out.
Not me. I'm the sugar daddy.
Ooh. That would be the stupidest thing they could do.
Most stupid.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys. Then I have to get some. We need good grammar on this. As the number one podcast on the Pitt Maverick website, we need.
We have high standards here.
Yeah, right. Even though there's no competition, this is a monopoly. It's natural though.
But one last thing on the Senate, we were talking before the show that looking ahead 2 years, there's reason to be really optimistic because we'll be dealing with the 2012 seats.
Can you send me that link, by the way?
Yeah, sure. That means we stand some Democrats currently hold Senate seats that will be up for re-election in Florida, Missouri, Indiana, North Dakota, and Montana. Add to that Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Is it Kane's seat?
It's Bob Casey's.
Bob Casey is in Pennsylvania.
I would love to win Kane's seat so bad.
And but Casey is a very weak candidate.
Yes.
In 2012,
Tom
Tom Smith had no help. He was able to self-fund a bit because he was a millionaire. He's since passed away. But he was able to self-fund to a degree, but he had no campaign infrastructure. But Smith, even Ed Vandel, towards the end, started trashing Casey because he wasn't doing anything. He was just, and it became it closed in the end. They were worried about it.
I think he's almost been very lucky in a way because he won that seat originally in 2006, which was
against Rick Santorum.
A very good year to be a Democrat in this country. And
against a struggling candidate. Yeah.
So I'm going to turn the topic. Do you guys want to talk about Andrew, you want to head on this path about the Maverick? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we can touch on this a little bit, but I think, we didn't really last time. Mm-hmm. So just to sort of talk about the Maverick, what we've done, what we plan to do, what are our goals with the paper, and I think it's worth noting that we've been mentioned nationally several times now, whether it's on the O'Reilly Factor, Kellyanne Kanye's Twitter.
Mm-hmm. On Reddit, we were called a neo-Nazi, what is it? Neo-Nazi paper with a book review.
Wow, what a testimonial!
I had no idea Ayn Rand was a neo-Nazi.
It's crazy.
The more you know.
I know they're really doing some hardball on us right now.
Yeah, it's some deep rhetoric.
Yeah, just I know that we're pumping out pieces, trying to get out that conservative voice on the campus.
The good news is that with this election, there's no shortage of topics.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I was writing 2 weeks ago. It took me a while to come up with a topic, but I can think of 10 things I'd like to write about right now.
Yeah, same. I'm in the middle of one, and I did one last night, and my grammar's bad, so I have to write it. I have the grammar of like my 14-year-old brother, so keep in line. That's why I was doing really well senior year.
Well, that's what the editors are for, Sam.
Yeah, right. Like Kyle.
And I think it shows the importance of having the Pitt Maverick because we've already done stories that the Pitt News wouldn't even bother doing, that they wouldn't even wade into those territories, and the Trump table is the prime example of that.
Speaking of Pitt, one thing that might be interesting to talk about is the mood on campus today.
Yes,
we've heard this from a lot of people. Somber would.
I said the mood. it was palpable. You could feel it in the air.
I loved it. I took it all, and I was walking to class today in my Rand Paul shirt, and I walked into my history class, and I'm the only one smiling. Literally, I walk in, everyone's like, "Oh no, we just elected Hitler," because obviously they're intellectual argument right there, and we're talking about like the consequences of the election, like the climate. Abortion rights are going to be taken away, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I'm raising my hand the whole time, and I'm just not being called on.
Speaking of climate, I think one lesson that campus Democrats should take away from this is that your entire get out the vote operation should not rely on a single issue climate advocacy group. Maybe have a broader coalition.
Can we have the NRA come and do that?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
You have the climate people and the NRA, two single
I God bless them for being out here, the climate people, but I'm not going to miss being asked 10 times a day about it.
You know what the secret is? If you wear GOP or conservative-looking shirts, like with the logo or a candidate, they won't talk to you.
Yeah.
They'll talk to everyone besides you. It's like girls talking to me. Andrew, do you have a picture of the guide that they gave out about like the candidates and like the check marks? I know some.
I do.
The top endorsements for Donald Trump. It was like the KKK, big oil, big coal.
Yeah.
It was like, It was like the first one's the KKK. Like, wow, good one.
And then they also said that Pat Toomey's a major supporter of Donald Trump, which is an absolute
complete lie.
No, it was a complete lie. No one even knew who Pat Toomey was voting for until 6 p.m. yesterday.
Wait, who do you vote for?
Trump.
I know we have someone here who was attacked by a Katie McGinty surrogate. Kirk is a resident victim at the Pitt Maverick. Kirk, you want to talk about that traumatizing experience with John Fetterman? You wanna? Here, sit down. You might
sit down.
Oh boy.
Here, Kirk. So what happened? How
did the bad man trigger you?
Basically, I mean, it was terrible. I'm traumatized. We went to support local candidates Lenny McAllister and Mike Doyle at their debate, and John Fetterman took the microphone. He was at the podium, and I was sitting there minding my own business in a Make America Great Again hat, trying to support Donald J. Trump for president and Lenny McAllister. And just John Fetterman looks me in the eyes and he calls me out. He says, if you want to vote for a third-party candidate, well, you might as well be trying to make America great again, like his hat says. And he points directly at me. The heads turned, and I didn't know what to do. I couldn't believe it. I was hoping that he'd be more professional than that, and I
think that's exactly the best part. This man wanted to be our senator, and he's picking fights with 19-years-olds.
And he wants to be the governor next year.
Yeah.
I
know.
How did Lenny do, actually?
25%.
Actually, we should talk about Lenny. Several of us, myself included, did poll working for Lenny all day yesterday. He only got about 25%, which was pretty poor, but not bad at all. For
a presidential year in this district.
That's. He worked incredibly hard, and he switched people over. One thing that I was really impressed by was that as I was talking to voters yesterday, able to talk about a reform-focused conservative message, sort of a more hopeful, optimistic message, and that's something that connects better with urban voters when you talk about things like poverty, criminal justice, bringing jobs back to poor communities. When I was able to talk about that, you could see it in their eyes. They were really interested, and they started asking questions. And I would answer them, and I would talk about, what kind of solutions do we have to poverty? Where does he stand on these issues? And these are solid Democrats. I had one person even tell me, several people tell me actually, but that they would vote for Lenny. But one person said, I've never voted for a Democrat before. He was probably in his 30s. I've never voted for a Democrat before. I might vote for him today, which I thought Republican before, excuse me, which I thought was really impressive. So I think what we need, number one, is more candidates like that. Someone who can connect with people from these communities, bring a different message that they're not hearing, or like a solution-focused message to these problems that Republicans unfortunately don't talk enough about. But they also need help from the party. As I think Andrew and Sam, I think you did some work for Lenny as well. The campaign was just not well organized, but unfortunately that's typical of Republicans running in urban areas. They often don't have the resources or the people with the experience they need to win an election, especially against a well-established incumbent. So I think one thing these people need is more help from the party on a state and national level, because these people on the ground level are the best way to actually start to bridge that gap in the cities and with minority voters.
It's almost like our own 50-state strategy. If we can have a Republican run in every district, in every race, just to have even just a name on the ballot, somebody who can go and connect with people in a district like this, I think it's an incredible first step.
And that when I was campaigning with him last week, it was just so shocking to see how divisive it's become. I mean, just the way... Just the way, they ask what party is he from, and you just say, well, he's a Republican, and then they're like, oh, never mind. They don't even want to hear. It's like they won't even hear you out on the issue. It's like just because he's a Republican does not mean that he's a Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Does not mean that he's a Donald Trump.
I was looking at the precinct numbers in Oakland before Tuesday from 2012, and one thing that struck me was that roughly over 2/3 of people voted straight party.
Wow.
And that's both Republicans and Democrats. I don't know if you guys vote straight party.
I did.
Out of principle, I don't, because
I did not either.
I think you should have to have to interact with the name of the person you're selecting.
And I think even beyond that, I like to know something about the different names. I want to know what the person are, like who they are, what do they believe in, and so on and so forth. And I think doing that is a great way to reinforce.
No, absolutely. Coming from Allentown, one thing that you see sometimes is people will tell you just vote straight party. They push that because they know that's their best shot. They don't want people essentially thinking for themselves, choosing the candidates that they're most interested in. It's all about the party. It's very frustrating. Yeah.
And one example I can think of right off the top of my head, it's not a district that I live in, but the district that Art Halverson ran in.
Right.
He was a Tea Party Republican who actually received the Democratic nomination. Mm-hmm. So if you were to go in and vote straight party, you wouldn't know what you were doing in that race. But I think it's an outlier, but it still reinforces the point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And in the end, that was Art Halverson's best bet was people voting straight party Democrat and then Republicans flipping over. In the end, that didn't happen. There's just not enough Republicans in that district.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do you think that just the Trump effect of Trump reaching out to different demographics will encourage down ballot Republicans to actually try and contest? I know that a big thing about Lenny was that he's actually contesting Mike Doyle, who treated this as, I'm just going to get my seat back and I'm going to do what I'm doing. Do you think that...
Yeah, Doyle did absolutely nothing.
Do you think that...
And he's been doing the exact same thing for 20 years now.
Yeah. Do you think that that's going to actually have an effect around the country where people might go, maybe I can run. Maybe I can make an impact, and if I just get my voice out there, maybe people will listen.
Yeah, but we need to create a situation where these candidates, I believe they can win.
Right.
Have a shot. Because a sacrificial lamb, sometimes you do have truly inspired candidates, and that's fantastic. But you can't count on that every time. Mm-hmm. You can't expect someone to spend... Campaigns are exhausting. It's the most intense kind of work. Mm-hmm. You can't expect someone to devote 6 to 8 months just doing that to try to win, to lose by 75% a seat. We're asking far too much of people. So we need to create the infrastructure, the money. We need the advisors, the people on the ground helping them, advising them, all of that. We're not doing that right now, and that's the big thing.
Right. And I think that just goes back to the party's organization and just having to create a plan to help this party reach out. I mean, it might seem hopeless, but I know that you mentioned last time how, the Virginia went from red to blue, and recently, and how, we have to start going into these blue areas, and we have to say, here's our message, and we just got to kind of push and fight that narrative.
And that's just it. They don't, all too often, these people living in these communities are so cut off from the Republican Party that they don't even know truly what a Republican is. Mm-hmm. If you're turning 18, it is entirely possible, if you grow up in some parts of Philadelphia, that you have never met a Republican, let alone know what one is.
Didn't Reagan make a joke about that?
Yeah, Reagan had the story about the Southern Democrat.
Yeah, standing on the pile of manure or something like that. He's a Republican.
I can say it if you want.
Yeah, I don't know if you're as effective as Ronald Reagan. I'm sorry.
What's that?
I don't know if you're as effective as Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Anyway,
you're not as charming as him.
Thanks, Sam.
It's no problem.
But yeah, I mean, if you started just having, calling voters, doing mailers, knocking on their doors, if you're just talking to these people, that's already more than the Democrats are doing. Because all the Democrats do right now is they show up twice a year. They show up once in the spring to register voters, and they show up in the fall to say, hey, those evil Republicans are here. They're trying to, you saw this in North Carolina. They're trying to steal the vote. They're trying to steal it. They're trying to intimidate you from voting. They're trying to stop you. It's like Jim Crow, and they'll say stuff like that. It's pretty despicable, but that's what they do, and it works. Because we're not there to say no, they're lying. Here's what we actually believe. What did you do, Sam?
It's just this picture of Donald Trump at that Catholic dinner, and it's just has the caption "elitist."
We'll put it in the link though.
Yeah, I'll put it on screen. It's really.
But I know that Arnaud and I have spoken about this before, to where in Philadelphia there are precincts where 100% of the vote will go to a Democrat, and it's and we say this is statistically impossible, but then when we go and we look at the voting records, we look for registered Republicans.
Yeah, in Philadelphia,
we cannot find them.
Yeah, there were dozens of wards in 2012 where Romney got not a single vote, and in the end, the margin, if you add those up, the margin was, I think it was over 20,000 something for Obama and 0 for Romney. I mean, no wonder we lose Pennsylvania most of the time. Yeah.
Right. I mean, again, just getting your voice out there, whether it's 100 votes or 1,000 or 10. I mean, just even one. I mean, just as long it takes one person to tell their friend, "Hey, you should vote for this person." I mean, that's what I did with my mom. My mom didn't know who to vote for, and I was like, "Here's this candidate." And I won't say who she voted for. Here's this candidate. Here's some information about them, and then she was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Like it just takes one person to share the message, to spread a name, and then that's just and obviously within a family.
If I could make one more point about this is issue advocacy groups in these urban communities. The Democrats have all sorts of groups like these, be it teachers unions, be it Planned Parenthood, be it Acorn's gone, but the neo Acorn institutions that have replaced it. We don't have any of those. We need institutions, groups in there talking about things like school choice, talking about bringing jobs back, talking about, stuff like that, lowering the crime rate. We don't have that, and I think that would be a good first step.
Question: what's gonna happen to Planned Parenthood? Woo, laddie.
Yeah, what is going to happen?
I don't know if Trump wants to step into that, especially not in this first year.
Well, didn't he say, what was his stance on it? He said he knew some services that Planned Parenthood had that, helped women, but he just said, the abortion.
I can remember the attack line from Ted Cruz where he said, Donald Trump said that Planned Parenthood does great work.
Yeah, he said he does, wonderful things.
Well, how about... now that we're on just the topic of policy and changing, what's going on with the GOP? I mean, how does the so let's say, Donald Trump's in now. He's got the perfect scenario. They've got a good platform in a better way.
Well, they should. Nationally, they should. Each GOP in each state should really just connect with their voters more. They should. The time is ripe. Just see what.
Do you think if he fails, if they don't replace Obamacare to the most success that they can, because obviously who knows what can happen. The market's due for a recession. Do you think what do you think the implications are for future elections? I know it's the day after, but I think it's a reasonable thing to think about. What does the future look like for the GOP? Let's say if he doesn't live up to the hype.
Well, then I think we're back to where we started from with how angry people are with both parties being unable to really enact what people want. But if Trump keeps it up, I don't know. The GOP could really look at as the party that really gets stuff done.
And how about the Dems? Whew.
Yeah, they should. Their whole thing's they're talking about a party corrupt up and down.
Yeah,
and their number 2 guy from this cycle is a 74-year-old Democratic Socialist. So I don't know who they're going to. I think that. I think someone like Elizabeth Warren is going to start her 2020 campaign as soon as possible. Start laying the groundwork, getting out and making speeches.
I think she regrets not running this year.
Yeah.
I just think it's insane to look at the Democratic Party, which seemed so cohesive, and now it's going to fall apart. I have no doubt that. Well,
even more shocking, I think that when we saw Obama, we thought that we had a Democratic Party that was so young, that had so much potential. And many of the potential Democratic candidates this time were the exact opposite. Hillary Clinton would have been the second oldest president to ever be inaugurated. Bernie Sanders much older. There was a rumor that like Al Gore, Jerry Brown were considering running this cycle, and they're two figures again who've been in politics seemingly forever, and they're very up there in years. So I think the Democrats, sort of as a by-effect of losing in midterms in off years, that they don't have this crop of young candidates anymore.
So Trump will be the oldest president to be inaugurated, I believe.
Dang.
I believe, because Reagan was 77 when he left, which means that he was 69 when he entered.
So Trump
will be the oldest president. No one's spoken about that. Probably because, I mean, you got to give credit to Trump. I mean, just the amount of work he did. I mean, I know, did anybody here go to the rally? I know Kirk did. Did anybody go to the rally?
I've been to a few Trump rallies, but I didn't go to the one.
He was doing like 4 or 5 a day, going all around the country. Like, you got to give this guy credit. High energy.
And that's been essentially the last 2 years too. I mean, when you really break it down, whether laying the groundwork 2 years ago, and that's a long time to be out there doing this essentially every day.
And I have to wonder if that actually made a difference. In most cases, it doesn't. Usually you see losing candidates doing those marathon runs. McCain in 2008, Dole in 96, Dukakis in 88.
Yeah.
They do these last minute marathon sprints, and they do as much as they possibly can, but it never actually has any real impact. In this case, Trump, he won Pennsylvania by 1 point, Michigan by less than 1 point. I don't know if he was in Wisconsin. It was Wisconsin by 1 point. These just impressive narrow victories, and you have to wonder if he actually was able to, if his appearances actually paid off.
Now, in terms of the future, I mean, you mentioned the young Democratic movement. I have a map in front of me, and I'll take it with a grain of salt. If millennials 18 to 25 only had their votes counted, Clinton would have won 504 to 23 in the Electoral College. Trump would have won West Virginia, Kentucky, North Dakota, Wyoming, and Idaho.
Oh, that's a very progressive future.
Do you think that's a problem for the future of... Wow, someone just slammed the door. Do you think that's a problem for the future of the Republicans? Do they need to do more outreach? I mean, I know Trump wasn't very...
Well, now that we have, like, everything dominated by Republicans, I think now everyone's going to face a cultural shift in the next couple of years. So who knows what it will be like in 5 or 10 years.
I think Trump probably performed particularly badly with young people.
Mm-hmm.
If you look, I have the 2004 exit polls in front of me, and 18 to 29 was 54% for John Kerry, and we have it went 55% for Clinton, but Bush got 45% of that vote in 2004. And Trump only got 37%. So the Democrats are pretty steady, but the Republicans are bleeding. Whether that's just because of Trump, possibly, but I think the question is, will that continue? Will Trump have tainted our reputation with young voters in future elections?
And perhaps this is more than we've seen, and I think there were some polls that even showed Gary Johnson winning among millennials in pre-polling, but I don't think the results came out that way.
If you go around campus, especially on election day, everything was about stop Trump, not help Hillary. Not let's get Hillary. No, it was stop Trump.
Well, it was actually pro-climate.
And
the political climate.
Yeah.
Kyle's gonna kill us. By the way, I love the Democrats' Twitter right now.
Oh.
They haven't tweeted in 7 hours, and I love that. They haven't. If we lose, we learn from our mistakes. We do some reflection, and we get back in the arena. We get back at it. President Obama.
My personal favorite is Lena Dunham's Twitter.
Yo, wait, did she tweet today?
No, she had to tweet today.
Oh, Katy Perry went mad. She's like, it's time for a revolution or something like that.
I hope she's just too busy buying her plane ticket.
Yeah, really.
There was a report last night that Katy Perry, Cher, and Lady Gaga were all crying behind stage.
Lady Gaga's still alive?
Yeah, she was at a Hillary rally.
She gave a speech in North Carolina. It was actually pretty good. I have to give her.
She's doing the Super Bowl halftime show. This
Oh boy!
I feel like it's been 6 years since she's been relevant.
It has. I don't.
Baby, I was born this way.
She is a wannabe Madonna. Holy no!
We have 15 more minutes. Let's hold it together.
Arnaud, keeping us on topic.
We stayed on topic for a total of like 30 minutes this podcast.
But back to the for Trump against Trump thing, I think that's one of the reasons Hillary struggled so much because when I was talking to voters yesterday, one thing I was able to connect with them best with was just how ugly this has gotten. Young people hate Trump, but they also hate how aggressive and ugly politics can be. They like to feel hopeful and optimistic. And this election clearly is not having that effect for almost anyone.
What I would think that Trump made a lot of people hopeful.
Yeah, but not young people.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, but young Trump supporters are
Hype as hell.
Sure.
What do you say?
I would talk about like how a lot of young people were outraged at the Democratic Party for the treatment of Bernie. Like,
Oh man!
Amount of people are just outraged.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the turnout was in Oakland. We should have those numbers posted in a few days.
A true socialist.
I had wanted to run to some of our precincts to see the posted results, but that's like they'd have those posted around 8:30. Like that's when everything was coming in, so I didn't want to leave my computer.
Oh man. Just like the climate on this campus right now, I'm kind of scared of dying, but at the same point, like
shaking.
What? my leg is shaking. I'm drinking a Red Bull. No,
Scottish man. Shaking.
I just love this. I'm telling you, I just love the shock on the professors where they're like, oh no, we have our own Hitler, blah blah blah.
We have our own
Literally,
Hitler.
that's what they're acting like. I'm like, guys, he's not Hitler. He's just not conservative.
That's cool, dude.
It's just.
Well, he's not conservative and they're calling him Hitler. Then what's they tell them that themselves?
Yeah.
I all across campus, all I've heard today is people, like people in pairs huddled together talking about the race in hushed tones with their heads down, and I don't know. It's just
I love it. It's so funny.
But in 2004 there were stories about lines at therapist's office at schools had brought in because the young people really thought John Kerry was going to win. I think it's so much worse this time.
John Kerry.
Because not only did the young people think that Hillary Clinton was going to win, but I think almost everyone thought that Hillary was going to win and win comfortably.
Ooh, I can't wait till Kerry's out of his position. Ooh, he is.
Good thing Pitt has no psychiatrist staff on campus right now.
Yeah.
Well, we have that hug thing. That's as good as we get.
Yeah, John Kerry will finally be out of our lives in a few months. Won't that be nice?
Yeah.
Unless he wants to run for Senate. Again.
Again.
He can have Elizabeth Warren's seat when she's president.
I'm just, man. I just can't, dude. When I saw Mike Pence get on that stage last night, I was like, "Oh, Daddy Mike," and he's crying and he's smiling and he's like, "Your next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump," and it's just like I don't know.
I don't think that's an Indian accent.
I don't know. I just think it's so funny to see. I just think it's such a weird bromance. It's it's more weird than Obama and Biden because it's Pence and Trump.
It's total bro out.
I feel like Obama and Biden, they're fake friends. Like Biden thinks they're friends, but Obama knows better. I kind of get that feeling from them. But I posted this yesterday. I think Mike Pence gets running mate Medal of Honor.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
He put up with so much more than any running mate should have to. Kellyanne Conway, same thing.
Campaign manager of the world.
Yeah,
She's a saint.
That woman.
Did you see him hug her last night?
Deserves.
She's the greatest campaign manager I've
So
ever seen.
okay,
My gosh.
update from protesters. People are chanting "Not my president" in New York right now, according to Twitter.
Oh.
Someone has a sign that says "Not afraid to be a nasty woman,"
Wow.
And then someone says racism is not presidential, misogyny is not presidential, homophobia is not presidential, transphobia is not presidential, dump Trump. Remember when Trump was so transphobic that he said anybody can use any bathroom?
Dump Trump. So what exactly is their proposal now?
So they're going to get Pence, who they should be more scared of? Like,
honestly, I don't know if you guys have heard this too, but in the last 24 hours, I've heard a lot of people on campus complain more about Pence than Trump.
Yeah, so have I.
I don't know what that's about.
They were pushing those memes pretty hard with what Pence was doing before the election just started.
I heard that last night during the protests there were F Mike Pence chants going on too.
It's really bizarre.
I didn't hear those.
Because I hate Donald Trump, but I mean, Mike. There's reasons to have a personal issue with Donald Trump, but I mean, Mike Pence. You can't deny that he's a really nice guy.
He's such a down to earth guy.
And even journalists who followed him have said the same thing. He always, when he's with his wife, they always sing together and they talk the whole time, and they just really enjoy each other's company, and he's just a really honest man.
Same as Cruz.
Yeah,
I think he's a liar.
Oh, man.
Lion Ted.
This is a fun episode. I think that the spirits are really high this episode.
He's gonna work with Lion Ted.
As opposed to Arnaud's pessimism last week, where he predicted the Clinton blowout. Well, we have the happy we have the happy map today. We're gonna call this the happy map.
I'm predicting a blowout loss in 2020. How's about that?
No.
He's getting started already.
Yeah, Arnaud, for the rest of the entire existence of this podcast, which will be like 2 more weeks, he's gonna be like, 2020 blowout, Kanye's gonna win, Trump v Kanye.
Cut your funding.
Yeah.
You're just gonna hold me to this one thing.
By the way, rumor mill going through. Sean Hannity was called into Fox News last night, and he said that Paul Ryan is going to step down as Speaker of the House.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Oh, please no.
I think to wrap up, I'd like to plug our work for the Mavs, say what we want to do for it, what we plan on
the
writing.
Laura Ingraham thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our editor-in-chief, grand patron saint, only creator of the Pitt Maverick, Marlo Safi, is going to be on the Laura Ingraham show tomorrow morning, I mean.
She's a miracle worker. I mean, everything. Just did everything.
I know.
She still does everything. Like, none of us have jobs.
She works a 25-hour day.
She actually, she said she was going to be on this podcast, and I had to drag Arnaud out of the closet.
So when was it? Okay.
It's 11:45 a.m.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Sweet.
What's 11:45 a.m.?
Laura Ingraham.
It's the radio show.
I'll post a link in the link dump.
And in case you're listening late, we're recording on Wednesday, November 9th, if that wasn't obvious.
And Andrew and I have a test tomorrow.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
we do.
How is that relevant?
How is that relevant?
Because we're showing our devotion to your paper, Kyle.
You're just giving yourself more work to do. I mean, all I have to do is listen to it.
Yeah, but then your ears get to hear the sultry tones of our voice. I guess with that, now that Kyle is
the sultry tones. Wait, what kind of podcast is this?
It's the Mavericast.
This is a spoken word album. Believe me, this podcast is huge. Okay.
Can we do an NPR episode one day?
Oh, that was Sam's NPR.
We talk really close to the microphone.
NPR in California, I mean, it shouldn't be said, but it sucks.
Are you from California?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. With that, I think that's an appropriate ending to the greatest podcast in history. Remember that we are the #1 podcast on the Pitt Maverick website. And with that,
or also the last one.
And the last one. And with that, MAGA, and Arnaud is the ultimate pessimist.